Record.
Blue Devils, it's so good to see you all online. I can't wait to have you back on campus. This afternoon, I just thought it would be really great if the team thought it would be really great if we could pull everybody together and just check in with you. And so we've assembled a really great group to have some conversation with you and to answer some of the questions that you may have, whether it's about returning to campus, different levels of support that you may need, and so on and so forth. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Bullard. I serve as Vice President for Student Success. As the different speakers come on board, they will share their name, their title, the types of ways that they can support you. This evening, I wanted to start really quickly, first just with a quick word of prayer, if you don't mind. We have been through a lot, and so I just feel called to just have a word of prayer at this point, and then we can move into the rest of the of our time together. So if you'll just bow your heads quickly. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for this assembly, and we thank you so much for the time that we are going to spend together here this evening. I would just ask, Lord, that you would bless everybody under the sound of my voice, and those who were not able to make it this evening, whether it's the faculty, the staff, the students, so importantly, and then the folks here in the greater New Orleans area and around the state who have been affected by the storm. We just ask that your blessing over each and every one of them as we chat here this evening, and then even in the weeks and months to come as they seek to recover. And so with that, I'd just like to say thank you, Lord, for all that you've done for us, and amen. So really quickly, I just want to give you a quick overview of kind of where we were and where we are, and then I'll let the team sort of fill you in on where we're going. First, this past week, as you know, we endured a Category 4 storm that really has wreaked havoc for all of us. There's no person in the state of Louisiana who is not in some way affected by this storm. Nationally, we've been affected by this storm. And so this past weekend, outside of the evacuations that you all did, we actually evacuated with a number of students, 60 students, in fact, to Mobile, Alabama. And during that time frame, they eventually were able to get home. I know some of you all endured that same issue as you tried to make it home as well. And so at this point, just 2 days ago, the power came back to campus. And so now that that has happened, we're in a space where we're trying to assess the campus and understand what types of things we can do to sort of look at a return at some point. But before we get there, I really wanted to talk about where you are and what situations you may be in, and have an understanding about how we can best support you. And so that's what you'll hear from some of the folks here this evening, especially over these next couple of weeks as we move to virtual learning. And those of you all who may not be able to make virtual learning, we want to understand how we can help you to continue to stay engaged with the institution, and then stay connected to your work. But most importantly, be sure that you're just okay. And that's the most important part of what we're trying to do, certainly starting with this call, but as we move forward in the weeks to come. On campus, as you can imagine, there are down tree lines, tree limbs, and that kind of thing. But what I was talking to Mr. Lewis just recently, and he was talking about how they have a company that's come to campus, and essentially they're going through every single room and every single building and trying to understand the condition of the campus. I know some of you all have contacted us about trying to get to campus and to trying to even help us get cleaned up and all of that kind of thing. But we really do need to wait to allow the professionals to do what they do, which is to assess the campus. There's some damage in different places in residence hall rooms and so on and so forth, and we will need to understand what that looks like. One of the things that we've already done is we've already gone through and had to remove some of the things from your residence hall rooms, which are things like food, which is the most important part. Meat and fruit, as you know, don't last very long without refrigeration. And so the facility staff has gone through and done some of that. And they've done that in the least invasive way that they can. But there are still work to be done as it relates to mitigating what effects would be left post the storm. And so we'll have more information about that as we move forward. But I did want you to know that that is the most pressing piece in terms of the physical plant for the campus, is just trying to assess where we are in terms of each individual room, understanding if there's damage, if there's pieces of your personal goods that have been damaged. We will start having those conversations in earnest over the next couple of weeks. To that end, we are not going to allow students to come back in the short run until we have that assessment completed. I know you want to get back, and we want to have you back, but we have to do that to ensure the safety of the campus. And so please know that's something that we will continue to work on. The last thing I'll say, and then I will turn it over to the team, is as we're moving forward, we have to be flexible. I know that we're starting virtual learning. I think Dr. Page will talk a lot more about this in her comments, but I know that we're talking about starting virtual learning next week. During this time frame, we're thinking that it will be for 2 weeks. However, if we go into the residence halls, we go into campus buildings, and we determine that we'll need to adjust that date, all we ask is your patience as we try to understand what situation that we're in. And so anything you hear in terms of dates and such, those things will be tentative. And so I just want to reiterate that as we're moving forward, because I think everybody wants us to say, September X, we're going to be back. October X, we're going to be back. We just do not know at this particular time, and we just need your patience as we move forward. And just pray for the campus, for our DUPD, for our facility staff as they work and move around the campus, that certainly that they will do so as expeditiously as they can, but they will be safe as folks have become desperate in these times. And so we want to make sure that they're safe as they're trying to secure the campus and get it cleaned up so that you, in fact, will continue to have a very good college experience. And so with that being said, until you hear an official date, this is the date we're coming back, consider all dates in pencil until we know definitively where we say, look, this is the date where we will definitively be back on campus. We will certainly give you latitude in terms of trying to get to campus. So we won't tell you you have to be on campus tomorrow and, or else, we won't do you like that, we promise. If you say that our family is having issues getting you back to campus, we'll talk with you about that. We will be as flexible as we possibly can be. And so please know that. So we want you to take that stressor off your heart. We're actually going to meet with your parents here at 7:30. And when we have those conversations, we'll reiterate that to them as well, so that they will sort of remove the stress that they may have about coming back to campus. And so I see questions coming through. I will let the presenters sort of go through and complete their comments, and then we'll, if there's some questions that were not answered, then I can circle back at the end and answer those as well. Okay. All right, and I think next on our agenda is President Harris. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
That's correct. So next up, we got President Maddie Harris.
And I'm about to talk and I was on mute. What's up, everybody? I'm so glad to have y'all all on this call. Shout out to our administration because they've been doing an amazing job to make sure that we're all going to be returning on campus safe, as well as getting the university back up and running, and as well as evacuating all those students. So I'm just really glad that we're all on this call right now. So I see y'all in the comments. Hey, I miss y'all. I love y'all too. Make sure that you just tap into this conversation and make sure that you're reading the emails and other updates communicated by the university. We've been working and we actually sent in the frequently asked questions that we gathered from you all the other day. So we sent those in. So we're really excited to get those answers today. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us at sga@dillard.edu. And we'll be able to point you in the correct direction of any of our administrative teams, as well as just get you those answers. So just stay tapped in and just make sure you're listening, okay?
All right. Thank you so much, Maddie, for that update. Next up, we're going to go to Dean Simmons.
Good afternoon, Blue Devil Nation. As you all know, I am Mr. J or Dean Simmons, either one works. I do want to just take a quick second just to remind you of a couple things and also to make a quick announcement about some relief that we have coming through the pipeline. So about some of the support, you all should have received an email last week about some of the things that we're offering to help you all. We realize it's entirely different situation than it was 2 weeks ago because you were on campus doing your thing. And now a lot of you all are displaced, y'all in other areas, y'all are back home, y'all with aunts and uncles and cousins. And so we want to make sure you all know that even though we're not physically on campus, we do still have those resources available so you can get whatever support or advocacy that you need during this time. And so just a couple of those that we have set up. One, we can still do the virtual over the phone counseling. We have our counseling wellness team that is still available. I will send that correspondence out again this afternoon, just so you all have it again. But it has a link there that you can sign up to be able to talk to our counseling staff. We also have our Meta Blue Devil teletherapy, which is again is designed to help you to be able to talk to somebody virtually if you need it. Our chaplain, the university chaplain, is also available for prayer and spiritual guidance. If you rather go that route, you just want somebody to pray even with your family, we can also provide that and set that up. We also have a partnership with the National Alliance on Mental Health. Again, that's a text message service. If you just rather talk to somebody via text message, you don't actually want to, vocally speak with someone, we can do that. Well, we also have me. I'm not a counselor, but I do have some training, and my whole job is to make sure that you all are good in the long run. And so that is just some of the support that we're offering. Again, we'll continue to push that so you have what you need. The announcement I want to make, the Division of Student Success, we've been working closely with the Office of Alumni Relations, alumni across the nation. Ultimately, what we've been able to do is come up with a relief grant that we'll be able to provide to students directly. And so this grant is a one-time grant that we are, we're organizing. Each student will have to apply for the grant. It will just ask some very simple, basic questions to try to get an idea of what your needs may be and how we can support you. And so 3 quick requirements that we have right now that we are ready to publish. 1, you must be a full-time currently enrolled student. 2, you must complete the application. And 3, you must be able to describe to us in detail what your needs are. And if you meet those criteria, the reviewers will look at it and see how we best can support you. The application is scheduled to open tomorrow. You'll get an email with that information, so please check your email. We also sent out another survey last week, trying to get a feel for where you are and the things you may need and the things we can help with right now. We're still getting through that, on the phone constantly, responding to emails. And so as always, please reach out to us. advocacy@dillard.edu. Again, advocacy@dillard.edu is the best way to get us. It is a catch-all box. Again, you are not in this by yourself. And I'll just leave y'all with this. Everybody knows me, know I love quotes. One of the quotes that says, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And so, and if I know anything about Blue Devil Nation, all these wonderful students I had the opportunity to interact with thus far, y'all some tough people. All right. And so let's make it through. Let's get through this. Just know again that we're all in this together, and we're going to do our best to get you all back to campus as soon as we can. But until that time comes, we are here, and we're not going to skip a beat with that. Okay. I'm going to pass it back to Dr. Courtney, who's going to go along with the schedule.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dean Simmons. I just want to remind folks, because we see a lot of the same questions, I want you all to listen. I know we are very excited. It's the first time we've kind of been with each other. It's our first update. However, 98% of the questions that you're asking are actually being answered right now. So what we're not going to do is go back and re-answer every question. We are recording this. We will send out a recap as always, but I really want to implore you all to listen right now to what we're saying. And then if you have questions, feel free to ask. But some things are literally said and then asked 2 seconds later. So just listen up and we'll provide you with all the information that we can. So next up, we will have Dr. Page, who will be talking to us about academics and answering these questions about virtual learning that you all have.
Good afternoon, students. Well, I guess it's evening. Good evening, students. As Dr. Williams just said, for those of you who don't know who I am Dr. Yolanda Page, Vice President for Academic Affairs at Dillard University. First, I just want to say that we are happy that many of you were able to join us here today, which means that you have electricity, you have access to Wi-Fi, so that's a positive. And then I also want to say, for those of you who may have been more dramatically or catastrophically impacted, we're going to remain prayerful for you, that your struggles will be lessened and that things will turn to a more normal state sooner than later. So just quickly, because you'll receive an email regarding this information in a little bit, I wanted to share some information about academics. The first thing I want to share with you is that the academic calendar has been revised, and the new academic calendar, or the revised academic calendar, can be found on the Dillard website under the Academic Affairs page. But the email that you'll receive this afternoon will have a direct link to the academic calendar. So some of the changes that have been made to the academic calendar is that all dates have been delayed by 2 weeks. For example, that means on the original calendar, the midterm period was October 1st through 6th. On the revised academic calendar, the midterm period is now October 15 through 20. So again, we've pushed back or delayed all dates by 2 weeks. And so you'll be able to take a look at that when you receive that document. One important thing that I do want to mention to you is that although the dates on the academic calendar have been delayed 2 weeks, the semester will end as originally announced on the original academic calendar, and that is December 9th. That's well, for faculty, that's the day that grades are due. So the last day of final exams is December 7th. And you will, as the initial calendar indicated, you'll be able to go home on November 24th, and then exams will be virtual. So the end of the semester remains the same. So you will not have to stay at Dillard or stay in classes for an additional 2 weeks. The way we're going to accomplish this is that we're going to make up the missed days by having what we've termed asynchronous Saturdays. Asynchronous Saturdays. So what you might be asking are asynchronous Saturdays. So asynchronous Saturdays will be days where your instructor will post assignments and you'll have to complete those assignments. Those assignments will be due based upon the instructor. It may be something that is due by the end of that day. It may be something that is due on a Sunday, or it may be due a week later. But all of your faculty members will communicate that information to you in advance, and they will be consistent in how information or how assignments are due. So we have missed quite a few days. You probably know we have missed days from August 28th, if you had a Saturday class, up to September 11th. So all of those days we do have to make up, because for our accreditation, and we're accredited by SACCOC, the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges, they require that all universities, all colleges have a set amount of class or seat time. That set amount of class or seat time is 15 hours per class, if it's a 3-hour class, or etc. So we have to make up the missed time. And again, as I said, we'll be making up that missed time by asynchronous Saturdays. Now, that doesn't mean you'll have to come to class or attend class on Saturdays, but you can expect some type of work on those days. So the first of the asynchronous Saturdays will start on September 18th, because you recall that we returned to instructions on September 13th. And we'll have an asynchronous Saturday through November 13th. Now, that doesn't mean that you'll have class out every Saturday. So for example, the first asynchronous Saturday on September 18th is for those of you who may have had a class on Saturday, August 28th. The email that you receive will again provide you with a visual of how this is going to work. Now, in order to be able to make up some of the days that you have missed, we did have to take a few of your holidays from you. So the first holiday that we had to take from you is your fall break. On the original calendar, there was a fall break on Friday, October 8th. Friday, October 8th is now designated as an asynchronous day. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have to go to class, but it does mean that you'll have an assignment to make up for the class period that you met. And so that October 8th is meant to replace September 1st. The other days that you're losing from the academic calendar is the 2-day study period. There was a 2-day study period designated on November 29th and 30th. We're now using those 2 days as an asynchronous makeup day as well. So November 29th is meant to replace September 10th, and November 30th is meant to replace September 11th. You will receive more information about instructions for the online or asynchronous classes that start next week. One from Mr. Mark Raymond, who is our Academic Technology and Distance Education Director, and also directly from your instructors. Next week will be, the next 2 weeks will be wholly asynchronous. So that means that you will not attend any classes synchronously or at the same time that your class would normally meet. Latest Sunday evening, because I've asked all faculty members to start posting their assignments
Dr. Page. Dr. Page, you're breaking up.
Okay, looks like Dr. Page is having some connection issues. Everybody, she dropped off for a minute, so we will go forward to Mr. Page, and then when she's able to reconnect, we'll bring Dr. Page back on to finish up. So, Mr. Page.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Apologize for that. Unfortunately, we still do not have power nor internet at home, so our connection is very spotty. So I'll try to be very quick and brief to make sure I don't lose my connection. Happy to see everyone. Really do appreciate all of you who have reached out and asked how those of us who live in New Orleans are doing in the southeastern region. That's really appreciated, and that's thoughtful of you. So we thank you for that. Let me start off by just sharing kind of a recap of the written email that was sent to the entire student body addressing all of the questions that we have received up to this point on last evening. I will encourage you to read that email, and if you have subsequent questions, respond to that email and we will try to answer them accordingly, but I will ask for some grace and consideration because all of the staff that need to respond are still being impacted by the aftermath of Ida, meaning they do not have either power or internet in their homes because most of them did not relocate anywhere. So I'm just going to ask that you allow them some grace in that, but they will get to you and respond as soon as possible. Um, Even the one who lost their home, she's still working, trying to work on your behalf, and she doesn't have a roof over her head. So, recap of the email. First thing on the email, we discussed the HERF funds. It is our plan to release those HERF funds to all eligible students here pretty soon. I do not have a specific date because it's just not a push of a button that releases those funds. It's several staff members engaged in that process. And so we're trying to come up with a way to ensure that we can get that out to everyone, especially those who are still here in New Orleans that might not have access to their financial institutions. We're trying to work out a way to get everyone that funding. Now, her funding is still under the rules and regulations of COVID. It is not a additional fund for Hurricane Ida. So your financial situations related to Hurricane Ida do not impact her. I need you to understand that. So while the need is there, this is still based on COVID regulations. And so what we have decided is to release that money to all eligible students on the front end. We will not retain any money and have money to go back released under an application process as we've done the last 2 times. We think the need for you guys is great. So we're gonna just release it all up front based on the eligibility and the criteria. One of the good things with this last bit of HERF 3 money that we have is we did receive a significant increase. So for those of you upperclassmen who remember the funds that you received last summer, early summer, and maybe this summer, expect a little bump in your what we call a block grant amount, because we're going to give, again, all of it out on the front end, because we know while it's not Hurricane Ida related, we know your situation is probably still impactful, okay? Moving on to student assistance just from hurricane relief. I am aware that our student affairs team, not student affairs, I'm sorry, alumni office has been receiving and requesting funds from the our partners around the country. Some churches have donated, alumni have donated. That office is coordinating that, and as soon as they have a plan on how to distribute that, then that will be communicated by the administration on how we can disperse those funds to help out with any funds related to Hurricane Ida. Okay. Next conversation, student refunds. Yes. Okay. Because we have left the academic calendar start and end alone, no changes to start and end, it is our plan to still move forward and release refunds on the targeted September 17th date, which was the original date before Hurricane Ida became in existence, okay? So we did not change anything. Staff are trying to get to campus to get to access, rather, I should say, so that they can do the process, the behind the scenes things that need to happen. We think we have a plan in place. So hopefully those individuals that need to be involved in that process can do what they need to do. And again, we are going to try to make the original pre-Hurricane Ida date, which is September 17th, the release of refunds for those students who are eligible. Everyone on this call is not going to receive a refund on September 17th because some of you still have incomplete financial aid packages. So I would encourage you, files, I should say. So I would encourage you to go to MyDU, double check what you have there, make sure there's nothing that's still missing. But all of those funds that we were eligible to receive as of the last Friday prior to hurricane, based on that Friday's enrollment, we will start dispersing later part of this week and during the process so that refunds for those eligible students can get those on the 17th. And then the refund process, as normal, will begin to take place every Friday thereafter. Okay? So we're trying to make sure that's all kept in the same calendar. If there's anything that impacts that, people still don't have power, access to internet, whatever it is, we will communicate that. But that is the plan as of right now. Now, with that being said, because access to campus is very limited, if non-existent, there will be no issuance of paper refund checks. You must, all refunds will be issued by direct deposit. So all new students who have yet to complete the direct deposit information, please follow the instructions in the email on how you set up your direct deposit. But no new students, when I say new students, first time students to do it, you need to go do that so that you can get yours direct deposit, but you will not be included in this first round, okay? I'm pretty confident that new freshmen will not be included in this first round, which is normal. Yours generally comes after the first round for upper class students, okay? So we're not doing anything different just because of the storm. We're keeping the same schedule. Now, continuing students, as the email indicated, please do not duplicate a direct deposit form. Please do not submit another one. If you have one on file, it's still already on file. If you duplicate, if you cause any errors, you are going to further delay your direct deposit, okay? Now, this is coming from a conversation strictly from accounts payable and accounts receivable in the business office. I'm speaking on their behalf tonight, but they want me to stress to you, please do not duplicate, please do not make errors. And if possible, try not to use your cell phone to complete the direct deposit form, because this last go around when you did, those individuals who made the mistakes, those are the ones who use cell phones, and it became a big issue. So they want you to try to be as clean as possible and use a computer if you have access to it, okay? So don't duplicate. You don't need to submit another one if you've already done one. Direct deposit is the way to go, okay? The other thing, the other question that we have received is the incentive regarding the vaccine. That information will not change. As indicated to you prior to Hurricane Ida, the student incentive should be released on or about November 15th. They are going to stick with that date. Hurricane Ida is not going to push that date up, all right? It's going to stick with that date, all right? So again, refer to the email that was sent on last evening. Refer, that has a lot of information in it. And if you have any questions, please just reach out. Give people time to respond, because the entire staff does not have power nor internet access. They are still here in the New Orleans area. So there's different things for different people, okay? Now, yeah, that's it. And so I see some questions. I'll try to get to some of the questions, but if you have anything, please just reach out and we'll try to get to you as soon as possible. But there is information on the email, so please just use that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Page. Appreciate that. Next up is Ms. Lewis.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I would like to say my, here we go. Sorry. I would like to say for those students and families who are impacted by the storm, you do have our prayers. And also I know there are a lot of volunteer efforts going on around the state and in the Gulf Coast region to help you guys. As some people mentioned earlier, there are alumni around the country who have said, hey, I'm here, how can I pitch in? I want to help. So if you guys have not received phone calls or emails individually, trust and believe that there are people behind the scenes working on your behalf to make sure you get the resources that you need to make it through this time. I will say I have seen some questions in the chat about returning to campus to get things on main campus and then also at SUNO. As Dr. Bullard mentioned earlier, for those of you who have may not been in the room yet, a date will be released as to when folks can come back to campus. Once that date is released, we will have a phased approach as we do for move-in, and it will most likely be by appointment only. For those of you who live at Suno, if you are recipients of their emails, believe that the information we send out is what you should follow in terms of accessing their campus. I did see someone mention having a question about getting a car. If you did leave a car here and you need to pick it up, I will say reach out to me directly via email. I will see if there's a way for us to coordinate that for you. I'm not sure where you're traveling from. For those of you who do not watch the local news, flights have been delayed. We do have different changes in the flight schedules leaving out of the Louis Armstrong Airport. So everything that you knew before you left as it relates to New Orleans have changed. And Mr. Page was very polite in saying that a couple of times during his informational to you guys. So for those of you who have personal items in your residence halls that you want to access, again, we have to wait until the campus is completely assessed by the facilities team and the contractors before we can allow you to come back to retrieve anything from the residence halls. The last thing I want to just share with you guys is please stay close to your emails as it pertains to when we will announce our phase approach. As of right now, I know some of you guys are kind of flustered. Well, what's the date? What's the date? We too have to wait on information before we're able to give you anything that's definitive. And I forgot one other thing. I see housing refund and meal plan refund questions. Those things are not made in, those decisions, sorry, are not made in isolation. The university administration will take a look at that and vet that as well to determine what that looks like. So if there is to be a full refund, a partial refund, a proration of fees or whatever, trust and believe that the university administration will vet all of that and make sure that you have the information you need if there is going to be any type of refund issued to residential students for the meal plan and or for the room rate. One other thing I'll say before closing is as it pertains to damages on campus, someone asked about damages. If there are any damages as it relates to your personal items, for those of you who do have insurance through your parents' homeowners insurance or renters insurance, you will be able to file claims that way. Other information will be sent out to you in terms of filing claims in any other way if you don't have your own personal insurance, once we have more information from our risk manager and also our facilities department. So there are a lot of answers that we cannot pinpoint and give to each individual student, but just know as we get information, we will share that out with you guys.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lewis. We appreciate that. I see Dr. Page is back on. Dr. Page, did you have anything else you wanted to add from your area?
I've been answering questions in the Q&A, and also I posted for all students in case they didn't see it, that everything that I was saying or trying to say, you'll receive in an email later this evening. And then if you have any questions, you can just email them to me directly. So don't send the emails or the questions to academicaffairs@dillard.edu. Send the email to me, ypage@dillard.edu.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Page. I guess last up is me. So we are getting some questions about what about student organizations? What about community service? All those things. So again, everyone, the most important thing right now is your safety and your well-being. So once we switch into the virtual format next week for classes, we will do the same for organizations. So if you are wishing to host a program or an event, we will share information with you on how to do that. It's pretty simple. It's pretty close to what we regularly do, but I will share that information with the organization presidents and advisors. So be in touch with the leaders of those organizations. We did not have the opportunity to host the organization fair, so we will do that virtually in the interim. So I'll send out information about that first thing next week to the organization. So we will basically have a Zoom kind of like this, and you'll be able to go to different rooms and meet the representatives from the different organizations, find out what they do, how you can get involved with them, and how you can be active with them on campus. Some of the things such as homecoming, right now it's just still a little too early to tell. So we don't want to make a premature decision. So give us until first thing next week. Again, once we're kind of back on the ground and we can kind of assess things, we can look at the calendar, see what type of modifications can be made. Then that way I can give you all an informed decision. Same thing about Greek life. So again, with every organization, there is a set of timelines that they must meet. There are university timelines that must be met. There are things we have to do like Greek 101. So first thing next week, we will provide an update to you all about that. Last thing, just about community service. We love the altruism. We love that students are going out there to serve. So if that is what you would like to do as an individual, please feel free to do that. We are not approving any student organizations to do that right now because, again, we're not there to kind of assess everything and think about the risk management and the safety that's involved in these projects. We're also not approving student organizations to do kind of like fundraisers or GoFundMe and things like that. There's all types of tax implications and different things that go on with that that are tied to the school because you're doing it under Dillard's name. So if you have a question about that, email me directly so we can talk about it. But for right now, I really encourage everyone to take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, make sure that you're set to switch into this virtual learning for a little bit and then be getting prepared to come back. So with that being said, we want to open the floor for us to begin answering questions. So Dr. Buller, do you want to take some of the kind of recurring ones that we're seeing, or do you want me to call them out?
Sure. One of the sort of thematic questions that I'm seeing, Mr. Page, about if they're doing direct deposit, I know you said don't go in and duplicate, but I see one student said that their page is blank or they're having issues there. How do they get support about making sure that their information is correct if they go into MyDU or that kind of thing?
Yeah, I saw that my page is blank conversation. I would first refresh your computer and clean out your cache. I know previously that has been the issue with some students having access to that. So I would recommend that for the first thing. Second, if you still have an issue with the link on MyDU, then I would send an email to bursar@dillard.edu, bursar@dillard.edu. And I'll put that because that office, there you go. Okay. That office is the office that's coordinating the direct deposit collection of the information and can go in and access that information. So check, do that first, clean out your cache first, then try it again. And if not, then go to bursar@dillard.edu. And then the other conversation about the direct deposit that was somewhat related to that, and I'll go ahead and answer that now, Dr. Bullitt. There were several questions about HERF funding. Eligibility, I think I said this, but let me repeat. All students who were enrolled for the fall 21 term as of the Friday before Hurricane Ida, we collected that data. So all students who were enrolled are eligible for the HERF 3 funds, okay? Now, how much each student will receive depends on your EFC, your expected family contribution. So I know new students, this is new to you, but your upperclassmen, this is the same process that we used for the last 2 disbursements. So I gave you an example in the email last night for a document that you can go to and refer to try to see how we break down who gets what. We'll explain all of this when the money is announced, but it's basically based on your EFC. The government requires that we give the most money to those who are the neediest as defined by the FAFSA, which is those students who have 0 EFC. So as before, those individuals receive the most, and then we just did a grid all the way down, sharing the funding out to all eligible students. So for example, the previous 2 times, the maximum amount was $1,000 to 0 EFCs, and then we gave $250 to those students who did not even have a FAFSA on file, which is a small number. Because we knew just because you didn't have a FAFSA didn't mean you weren't impacted by COVID, right? So that was the breakdown the previous two times, 1,000 to 250. As I stated earlier, we received an increase in our HERF funding, so please expect more this time around. We have some ideas on how we're going to do that. I know how y'all are, so I'm not going to give the exact amount right now. They're going to be nailed to the cross on social media or in this chat. So I'm just going to reserve that for right now and just say, as I see one question about something else, I'll say this about HERF. Every college campus received HERF in the United States of America. Everybody does it different, all right, based on their guidelines. So not all schools receive the same amount. Not all students receive the same amount. We would do what's best for Dillard, and that's what we have done. I say that to say the same thing about this question about, and this is not in my lane, but I'm just going to pitch it for my team here. All campuses are coming back when those campuses are allowed to come back based on, as Ms. Lewis said, the safety and concern and health for everyone involved. So just because another campus is coming back tomorrow does not mean Dillard should be coming back tomorrow, because for those of you who might recall Hurricane Katrina, Dillard was hit the worst out of every university in the city of New Orleans. So it's just different, y'all. And I'm just going to ask y'all to be cognizant of that fact that every campus is different, just like every household that's represented here tonight is different, okay? So just keep that in mind. We want y'all back just as much as y'all want and need to be back, but we cannot bring y'all back into unhealthy and unsafe environments, because then what y'all will do is complain to Ms. Lewis and Dr. Bullitt about it being an unhealthy and unsafe environment. So allow them to work with the facilities team to bring y'all back as quickly as possible, because we want y'all back just as much as y'all want to be back. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Page. A question that I'm seeing in here a lot is, what about my textbooks, or what about my mail? So for those questions, y'all email Miss Michelle. Her email is mmatthew@dillard.edu. I'll include that in a recap, and she's kind of sent me some instructions. So when we send out this video, I will include her information as well as the answers to those questions.
I saw questions about the refrigerators. Yes, we needed to do that. Somebody sent a question and said, hey, I really would have appreciated an email beforehand to let you know, let us know that we had to go in. We really needed to make that call very quickly. As you can imagine, after 5 days of steak and chicken and all kinds of things in refrigerators, the residence halls were not a safe place to be. And so we really needed to make sure that we did that quickly. And so I apologize that we weren't able to get that done. We will send, because we have a little more time, we will send an email as we look to do the mitigation for the residence hall. We will send a email to talk to you all about what that process will look like. So you will know, who's going to be in the rooms and what kinds of things will happen. We will give that a little more treatment, but as it relates to getting those rooms and spaces cleaned out, the faculty and staff have refrigerators in their offices and places like that. So the facility staff had to go in and do all of those refrigerators and that kind of thing as well. There's places on campus where there's water on the carpets and things like that are happening. We're having to make some decisions very quickly to respond to what we understand is an emergency situation. And so again, I want to apologize for going in and doing some of those things, because that's a part of the work that we have to do. Like Mr. Page just said, I just want you all to be as patient as you can and know that at the end of the day, we're just trying to make it safe for you to get back. That's it.
Thank you, Doc. So a lot of the questions, y'all, that we're getting, we already kind of answered, but I'll throw them out there again to make sure y'all are hearing the same response. So can we come back to campus right now? I only have a few outfits. I need to get my things. Ms. Lewis.
Hey, everybody, Dr. Bullard just kind of alluded to it again. We cannot allow anyone, and just so y'all know, this also includes faculty and staff.
Right.
Once a full assessment is done, then we will know as a campus community when we will be allowed back on campus. And that does include the residence halls. I know some people said are only, prepared for 2 days of, being away from the campus, and we do understand that. And we're just asking you guys, to continue to be patient and to continue operating from a place of understanding. We will not let you just come back and say, okay, well, sure, go ahead, go in the halls. First and foremost, some people turn keys in, some people don't. We have to do a full assessment of who's coming back. And so we do want to do this in an orderly way. We do want to do it where we say, okay, yes, Camper Hall floor number 3 or Hartsel Hall floor number 3, you can return on this date. You have X amount of time. And this is the link to sign up to return to get your things. Let us know if you're coming back, yes or no. So like we said many times on this call, we can't give you a specific date and time at this moment, but there are folks working around the clock to make sure we can get that information to you. And whenever we can come back on campus, that is safe for all of us. And I will just say this, y'all, just please have, wherever you can find it in your heart, to continue to pray for faculty and staff, as well as your fellow peers. Continue checking on folks. Mr. Page already, said one person lost their home. That's not and whoever he's talking about is not the same person that I know. So there are multiple people who have lost, including some families, actual people. So we're working on you, and we're working on ourselves. And also some of us have kids that have to go back to school virtually or may not have to go back to school virtually. Some people are still in New Orleans that are your peers. And if you're not here, we can't really explain to you like the devastation that we've seen. But when you come back, then I think you might understand a little bit more. But trust your classes, as Dr. Page has mentioned, you will end on time. This semester, whenever you can come back, we will say, hey, y'all, we ready for y'all to come back in full force. And we know we're going to end on a great semester. So I'm looking forward to hearing all your success stories through the storm. And as a person who's gone through Hurricane Katrina as a student, I understand. And so I just ask you guys to just, keep holding on. I pushed through it. A lot of my classmates pushed through it, and I know you guys will too. As Dr. J, I'm gonna call it now, as Dr. J said, tough people make it through. I don't remember your exact quote, but it was close. So y'all, we're gonna make it. Just keep holding on, y'all.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ms. Lewis. That is so true, y'all. So I hope you were picking up on the theme that we're kind of all saying to y'all. Another question, I guess is for me or Maddie, as far as the fall 2021 election schedule and timeline for SJ and Royal Court, does that already have new dates? We do not have new dates yet. We have been in conversation about that. Again, everything is dependent. We're taking it one day at a time. So my goal right now is to send out a kind of campus life update, how we do those, to send one of those on Monday that will have that information. So we may be reaching out to y'all on Twitter to even talk about that. I think it's tough to hold elections when y'all haven't had a lot of time to get to know each other. And to do it virtually. So we'll have to have some discussions about that. So stay tuned for more information about that.
Hey, Dr. Courtney, I wanted to just real quickly, I saw questions about like refunds and that kind of thing. I do want to just make sure folks know that those are real conversations that are happening. We know that you haven't eaten on campus since you left. We know that you haven't slept in the bed since you left. And so we know that those are adjustments that we'll need to make. What we also don't know is what day you'll actually be back. So it's hard to say we're going to give you something back when we don't know how long that period of time is. And so there are implications for things like financial aid and the bursar's office and that kind of thing. So like Mr. Page said, you've got to wait until we kind of know where the ball stops, and then we can make some decisions. But know that those are real conversations. We did that last year when we had to leave out from COVID. Remember, we had the conversation that we had based on, hey, this is the day you left campus. and this is the adjustment that we need to make. So I'm not promising that it's going to happen tomorrow afternoon, but I am promising that it's a real conversation that we're having. I believe that, I think you'll be, at least will understand at the end of the day what we end up doing with regard to those adjustments that will happen. And I think I can, Mr. Page, say definitively that the adjustments will happen. It'll just depend on what day we will come back. So we just got to work through some of that. Go ahead, Mr. Page.
Yeah, clarity on that. My refund conversation was strictly about, how can I say this? Regular tuition charge
Sure.
and normal room and board as already assessed.
Yeah.
It was not reflective, or is not reflective. My refund conversation was not reflective of any adjustments that might be made as a result of Hurricane Ida. So, and I think I saw some questions about this. So let me be clear. The refund that you may or may not get beginning next 17th and subsequent Fridays, that's based on whatever your status was prior to the hurricane. So whatever your full-time or part-time or half-time enrollment was, whatever your on-campus or off-campus arrangements were, and the financial aid that's coming in to pay for that, if you're getting a refund, it's based on that. If and when the university decides to do an adjustment to room and board because of Hurricane Ida, those conversations will take place subsequently and be announced through the proper channels at a later date.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I hope I clarified, because in there was my conversation related to an adjustment, and no, it's as a pre the storm. Trust me, y'all don't want us to wait until that conversation, So we're trying to get you your money for those eligible. We're trying to get that out to you right now. So appreciate you and your patience as those individuals. And I'm not trying to be, well, never mind.
Thanks.
That's it.
Thank you. Dean Simmons, tell us one more time about some of these resources. We got a couple of people in the chat saying, we're a little depressed, we're a little anxious, we got so much going on. How can they access Meta and some of those other virtual resources?
Yes, so we sent the email out last week. We're going to resend that email out with those resources probably this evening. And so look out for that email. But also, if you have connections or bonds with other faculty and staff members, although we are kind of all over the place in various cities and states, some people are back in the state. Reach out to those people if you can, if that's someone you feel comfortable talking with. Our goal is to make sure that you don't feel like you're by yourself, that that the people at Dillard, even though we are trying to navigate things on our own, that if we can get back with you or can help support you during this time, we will. And so if you have a bond with Mr. Page or Ms. Lewis, Dr. Courtney or Dr. Bullard, whoever you have a bond with, other faculty and staff members, you send them an email, if you had a personal information, if you need to reach out, please do so. I'm pretty sure if they can, they will. And so, look out for that email that we'll send here this evening that'll have those resources listed again for you.
Thank you. It looks like we are answering a lot of questions. Let me see if there are any more. If y'all see any that need to be answered aloud, let me know. We got a couple of questions about Suno, Miss Lewis. Were people able to go in and clean out their refrigerators? Kind of what's happening over there? Can you tell us a little bit about Suno?
Yes, Dr. Bullard did respond in the chat. So the refrigerators at Suno were cleaned out as well. And that goes for the entire property, not just Dillard University or, Suno students.
Awesome, thank you. So yes, for folks asking about going online, we will start going online with classes on Monday for at least 2 weeks. We do see some of these questions that are very specific, you all. So some of those will be easier answered one-on-one. So please email the person on the call that's addressing those. Or if you're not sure who to ask, send those to me, or you can send those to Maddie via SGA, and we'll get some answers for you and we'll send it back out to you. But we cannot answer every single individual question. And yes, the recording will be posted. I guess as we're coming to an end, any kind of final words from our panelists?
I do have one last comment. I received a text message to clarify and make sure that I stated that new students who are new to Dillard Fall 21, you are eligible for the HERF funds that I discussed earlier. So it's everyone that was enrolled as of that, again, that Friday prior to the storm. And that does include our freshmen, our new students, and transfers as well.
Great, thank you. We talked about the COVID things. We talked about student organizations. We've answered those. So any final words from you, Dr. Bullard?
Yeah, I have to say, and I don't know how this will be received, but I just have to say that, I've seen, some of the comments that were made, and I know that everybody is anxious, but I just want to say how proud I am to serve with the group that's on this call. Everybody that is on this staff, these folks, some of you all who are away will not know what they did in order to get us to where we are today. And so I continue to be proud of them. And so I know that you're anxious and everything, but these folks are working and continue to work even today. Some of them have not been in their bed or been to their house or done any of those kinds of things since Friday before the storm. And to now still be here and be smiling and still engaging you all at this level, I just can't be prouder of them. And so I hope that you'll take an opportunity individually to reach out to these staff members, everybody who is here on this call, and then those who are not able to be on this call, and just say thank you, because they're going all in for you all, not being home, not knowing if their roof is off their house or whatever the case is. They are here just trying to make sure you all are good. And so I actually feel a little emotional about it because I just think it's awesome. I think it's amazing, and it just shows the power of community and the power of dedication to what we're trying to do here at Dillard. So please, please, please know that these folks are amazing, and you have an amazing team of people who think you all are the most important thing to them today, and reach out and say thanks.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bullock. Maddie, do you have anything, any final words from you, Madam President?
No, that was pretty much it, you guys, but I do just want to reiterate that we just hope that you guys are staying safe. Make sure you guys take some time to mentally decompress, okay, and get right before we start these virtual classes. Again, a huge thanks to everybody on this call, everybody who's at the university, and just everybody who's been helping to make sure that the students get back to campus are safe right now, and have all the resources that they need. If y'all need anything from me, you know how to access us. Hit us up at sga@dillard.edu. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at sga_.du. Make sure you guys just stay tapped in, stay checking those emails, and reach out to anybody on this call if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Maddie. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
And Dr. Williams, let me just say one thing to the students. Just make sure that you stay tuned to announcements on Canvas. And also, if you have not already done so, make sure that you sign up for Canvas messaging, so that if you are unable for some reason to access Canvas via Wi-Fi or your computer, then you can receive a text directly to your cell phone. And once again, all of that information will be included in the email that you'll receive from us later today, as well as some helpful hints about navigating asynchronous learning. And reading some of the questions in the chat or comments, I realize that some students may not necessarily know or understand what that means. But what that means is that you will work self-paced. Your faculty members will post the assignments, and then you'll work at your own pace based upon the dates that the assignments are due. So you won't be actually meeting with your faculty member or your classmates during this 2-week period. You'll be working on your own.
Thank you, Dr. Page. Okay, well, everyone, again, we appreciate you all so much for tuning in with us tonight. I did just take a screenshot of all the questions and everything we have, so we will work to answer those via email to some of y'all. Again, if it's a personal question, send those. You don't know who to send it to me, send it to Maddie. We'll get an answer for you. Send to Dr. J. We appreciate y'all coming out. Everyone stay safe, be well, take care of yourselves and your loved ones. And if we need to do another Zoom next week, we'll be happy to do that. And that is it for us. Y'all have a great evening, and we will see you soon.